I think it's time for the Sacramento Kings to start over. Welcome in or welcome back. If you are a Kings fan, I want you to know that this is not a video in some sort of malicious content. It's not something that I wish ill will on your franchise. I actually have a pretty soft spot for the Sacramento Kings, and I just want the best for you guys. There are two NBA player archetypes that I really enjoy. The first one is a Kentucky guard, Tyler Hero, Devin Booker, SGA, and De'Aaron Fox. And the other type is a player that is an offensive hub as a center, Nikola Jokic, Alperen Şengün, and Domantas Sabonis. The Sacramento Kings have not had a very good last couple of weeks. A season in general, but definitely the last couple of weeks. To kick things off over the last couple of weeks, we of course start with the firing of Mike Brown, and I want to put it on record right now. I don't think that this 14-18 start is his fault in any way, shape, or form. He may have had something to do with it, but it's in the single digits worth of percent. Of course, De'Aaron Fox gets asked about the situation, and he said that he was surprised, but, quote, you gotta keep moving. Now, I do want to clarify here and say that he walked that statement back and said that him and Mike have never had any problems, and it's never been an issue, and I do think that that could potentially be true, but also, what else are you supposed to say? Soon after he got fired, there was this report that came out that said he started to lose the locker room, and how he started to lose it was because he wanted to move DeMar DeRozan to the bench. And even with all these other things going on here, I definitely think that there is more than meets the eye. I think that there has been regression across the board as far as the roster is concerned. Keegan Murray has not looked like himself, especially compared to last year, and Kevin Huerter is in the exact same situation. And that's not even factoring in other parts of this equation where you play in a very difficult Western Conference, you play in a very difficult Pacific Division, and it's hard to incorporate someone of DeMar DeRozan's talent in with someone who was already so great like Domantas Sabonis and De'Aaron Fox. So with all that being said, the fact that you're 14-18 and your last win wasn't that impressive, even though it did stop a 5-game skid, I think that it is time to blow it up. I think that it's time to move on and see what you can get from all these good pieces. And if I were to put my GM hat on, the first thing that I'm going to do is see who wants Domantas Sabonis. And I think a place that he could potentially fit in great in is back in Oklahoma City. And this trade facilitates needs for both parties involved. You move off of Domantas Sabonis' contract, you get a serviceable big back in Isaiah Hartenstein, you get a serviceable wing back in Aaron Wiggins, and you get 5 first-round draft picks. The Oklahoma City Thunder have had this treasure trove of first-round draft picks for a long time now, and someone needs to take advantage of them, and if it's going to be anybody, I think it could be with this trade with the Kings. And of course, if you're going to get rid of one of your 2 best players, it only makes sense to move the other one, so we're going to talk about De'Aaron Fox next. And I think the place that De'Aaron Fox actually makes the most sense is in Houston. Again, facilitating need for both of these teams here. The Houston Rockets have been in multiple reports all year about wanting to land someone of a star caliber. And a lot of reports have pointed to Jimmy Butler being that guy. But I would have to imagine, if I'm looking at a GM level, even from a Rockets perspective, you would rather have a young guard that is as good as De'Aaron Fox, rather than Jimmy Butler, who, while tremendous still, is on his last legs. I know that the Rockets struggle with three-point shooting, but that wouldn't fix the problem if they brought in Jimmy Butler. So in this particular scenario, I would rather take youth over experience, because De'Aaron Fox, let's not forget, is averaging 26, 6, and 5 on pretty decent shooting splits. And then, of course, for this trade to the Rockets, you move off of De'Aaron Fox. You get Fred VanVleet in return along with those 3 first-round picks. The picks are obviously the most important thing here when it pertains to a rebuilding aspect, but I think Fred VanVleet can be a very good mentor to Keon Ellis and Devin Carter. And even if I'm wrong in that statement, at its absolute worst, Fred VanVleet's contract for next year is a team option. So if it blows up in your face immediately, you can just cut ties and use all that cap room to go get other pieces. And next we're going to talk about Debo. I love DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a lost breed. I think that he's one of the greatest players in the league, even to this day. I love the way that he operates in the mid-range, and I think that his talents may be better suited for a different team, this time the Los Angeles Clippers. Because the Clippers right now are outplaying their coverage, essentially. They are 6th in the West at the time of recording. Kawhi Leonard potentially could come back any day now. James Harden is playing at an incredible level. Ivica Zubac is playing like a top 5 center in the league, and I think that they could use DeMar DeRozan not only for a star power level and a basketball level, but it'd be nice PR because he's from LA. And then, of course, on the way back, you get a first-round pick, the treasure trove here of what we're trying to accrue first-round draft picks, an expiring contract in PJ Tucker, and a very athletic, fun-to-watch wing and Derek Jones. And then for this next trade, we're just going to get rid of any of the old guard. For this rebuild, we need to be focusing on the first-round draft picks that we are going to accrue and the young pieces that we have like Keon Ellis, Devin Carter, and Keegan Murray. The meat and potatoes of this trade is getting rid of Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. I'm putting them in scenarios where they could potentially add scoring depth whether that's being in the starting lineup or coming off the bench. And in return, we are getting rehab projects and more manageable contracts. Of course, we can't leave any trade without a first-round draft pick, but we're getting some pretty good pieces, in my opinion, on the way back. Some of you may know I am a Celtics fan, and I really enjoyed Aaron Nesmith's time in Boston. I think he's been able to show a better side of himself in Indiana, being a 3-and-D wing. And you get one rehab project in Dante DiVincenzo. I've been pretty critical of Dante in the past for, I think, a very good reason, because he has not played very well. Even at that point, I think that if you gave him the opportunity to be one of the guys in this scenario where all of these trades go through, the guy next to Fred VanVleet, I think it could give him an opportunity to show what he can really do. And with all due respect, because the Kings are making these moves, it's going to be a we are trying to lose situation, so there's no added pressure for Dante to excel in any way or form. He can show out in the way that he needs to. He needs to polish the things that he can, and then potentially next year, this summer, trade up for something else. At the point that you have all these draft picks, it's really important to nail the scouting department to be able to hit on your draft picks, because you don't want to waste them. Obviously, that's the plan for every draft pick. You want to nail it. Sometimes it doesn't work out, but when you are getting so many first-round draft picks in the upcoming drafts, it's really important to nail it so it matches the timelines of your young players, again, like Keegan Murray, Devin Carter, and Keon Ellis. Some people may view this video and say that it is too early to blow it up, give it one more year, make one more big swing, get someone like Zach LaVine, and maybe this sorts everything out. But I think it's better to be too early on a rebuild than way too late. Because let's just pretend for a second. Let's imagine we kick this can down the road a little bit, and it comes to a position where either De'Aaron Fox or Domantas Sabonis is up for a new contract, and they just don't want to play ball anymore. Now, I don't think that either of them would do that, but if it ever came down to that, they would have all the leverage rather than the team having some. And while I will never be on the side of billionaires versus millionaires, I think it's important that if you are running a team, it's important to get all of the juice out of the squeeze. Because what you don't want to have on your hands is a good run with good pieces but nothing to show for it. But that's just what I would do. What would you do if you were the Sacramento Kings GM? Let me know down in the comments below. Check my link tree while you're down there too, and join all the things. Follow me on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram. I've got a Discord that you can join. Follow me on Blue Sky. Be kind. Tell somebody you love them. And I'll see you in the next one.